this is the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
And they ask that this be done. It's never been up. It's been in the vaults for many, many decades. And they said, we have to do something like drapes or something because the light eventually affects it. And it's very cool.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that great? Just went up yesterday.
Wow.
Think Joe Biden would do this? I don't think so. Do you think he'd think of it? Do you think he knows what it is? This is
Well, hello there, partner. Go on and hang up your hat, grab yourself a whiskey, and pull up in the easy chair. We're coming off the range of 9 to 5s with a whole herd of news stories that we've been steaming over like a cow patty in the Texas heat. As they say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost. And we're here to ruffle some feathers and ensure accountability ain't just a concept, it's reality. It's that time where the day's drama casts its longest shadow. So let's light a candle to the chaos of current events, the whirlwind of politics, and the tangled webs of corruption that we find ourselves entwined by. It's time to ramble our way into the twilight. Welcome to Sunset Rants.
Surprise! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sunset Rants, where we go over the news, the rants, the deep dives to get you caught up at sunset. I'm AK, your favorite guy. Tonight, JFK file release day again. We also have a domestic terrorism update, but first, my co-host, Valley, how you doing?
I'm good. Always great for you to join us. Excited to get into some heavy topics, but you're so upbeat about it. This is why we are having you on, because you have done a deep dive into all of this. So I'm really excited for all of your input, and it's going to be a good show. How are you, Biddy?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Biddy, and I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, the JFK files, a lot of people are worried that they were kind of a nothing burger, but who knows? I mean, there's a lot of files, and they're not all put together in a nice, cute bow. So it's going to take a while to go through all of that, chuck what's not needed, and so on and so forth. So let's get to it.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, remember we have a Discord where all the magic happens for Sunset Rants. You want to be a podcast host, producer, researcher, writer for us? It's the only place where you can be a part of the fastest growing podcast community on Rumble. Also, check out our website. Roman Nation is part of the Rise of Middle America Podcast Network. Not Roman Nation, I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm on my own show right now. This is Sunset Rants, baby.
Hey!
This is Sunset Rants, where you can see our most recent content, news, rants, and deep dives, as well as our merch site, where you can get the best caption this t-shirts that money can buy. So if you want more information, there's a QR code on the screen that you can scan. You can see my ugly face and others. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification, and follow me on X, the real Roma _AK. Valley, that's the Cali Melody, and Elizabeth213A. So let's get into the big story. Oh man, this is from NPR. Last of the classified JFK assassination files released. All right, so thousands of documents related to the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy were made public late Tuesday, but it's unclear what revelations they could bring. Days after taking office, President Trump ordered the release of the files along with those National Archives still holds concerning the assassinations of Kennedy's brother, Robert F. Kennedy, and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., both killed in 1968. Now, I did an uncensored series on Roman Nation about all three of those guys. We actually added it was so popular, we added a fourth one with Malcolm X, because there was a lot of things that were intertwined between those, but it all started with JFK.
Right.
All right. So there are a couple of things that are out. I believe the redheaded libertarian pulled up. There was a World War II vet and CIA agent suspected of with a click with the CIA killed Kennedy, and then he was found shot to death within the next 6 months. That was insane. Let's see, but there's also some documentation from Blair White about possible Israel having something to do with that.
I saw a lot of posts about that too. That those were the only things that were asked to be redacted from the files.
Exactly. Yeah, here, let's see what we got here. So the Israeli intelligence service from other sources under the Council of Angleton, I believe, must information developed. The Angleton was passed suspended with the CIA, but felt that the data should be passed on to the Bureau. And then it talked about Russia via Israel. And then the documentation has got all the stamps and stuff. Dude, this is wild. Who else do we got here? MJ Truth Ultra talked about Oswald's commander went on the record state that Oswald was in fact recruited by the CIA in Japan. I'm actually going, let's see if I can, Brian, I'm going to pull this one up real quick. Give me just a second. You got the Angleton? Okay. Here, let's do that one first. Or Angleton, if I can't even see. It's so small. There we go. All right. So let's see. Yeah, the Israeli intelligence service. So that's what I was reading beforehand. Intelligence projects. It says here the director of the CIA, he was given authority to disseminate the FBI in all matters of interest to U.S. leading in
1953.
53. Yeah. He worked out an agreement where Angleton disseminated to us and attributed the information to Bureau Information 100. The field was given appropriate instructions regarding the handling and reporting of information. This procedure is still in existence and operating satisfactorily. Yeah, you can see where all the stamps and stuff are, and where they pick up on all the different names with the Israelis and. But I mean, this is still like there's still a lot of documents.
It's still in its infancy. Yeah. There's just so much that needs to go through, and maybe they decided either just to be like fully transparent and release every single thing, or they don't want to have the same backlash they did with the Epstein files, where it's like they take a while to really sift through everything and see what it makes sense, or it's really anything, So they were probably like, let's just release the entire thing. But I mean, there could be something to it. I don't know. We got to look into it. But also, if you're thinking about other nations' intelligence, that might also be something that you can't, as a nation, kind of like reveal.
Right.
So it might be also that.
I thought what was interesting too is that there's a page talking about how JFK called Joe Biden a traitor in 1994. Were you guys able to pull that up? It says
Kennedy Jr.
Accompanying handwritten / hand printed letter dated 8/26/94, beginning Joe. Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor, and bearing the signature John F. Kennedy. So it's saying the unsub is AKA John F. Kennedy Jr. Senator Joseph Biden is the victim. Yep, August 26, 1994, Worcester, Massachusetts. And
it's
that
kind of odd that it would be clumped in with all of this. Yeah.
Right.
Like why did the whole like anything that has to do with all of this, it could be something significant that actually happened. It could be things that were like rumors that were spreading around that they
Mhm.
wanted to take in. You know, when you think of like the Warren Commission, and they were suppressing a lot of these. You know, there was like a home movie from somebody. I think this guy's name Orville Nix. He was like a bystander at the assassination.
Mhm.
So that's part of these files. You know, there's a lot in here. You know, it's gonna take just a couple of these things. It's gonna take people down rabbit holes to verify
Yeah.
and see if they're true.
Now this
I mean,
one's interesting. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, it's just interesting because I am looking at something that states the Ramparts of June 1967, Volume 5, number 12, pages 28 to 29, contains the following passages about subjects. The day after the assassination, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey, who's very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, Underhill was found shot to death in a Washington apartment. The coroner ruled it a suicide. So J. Garrett Underhill had been an intelligence agent during World War II and was a recognized authority on limited warfare and small arms. A researcher and writer on military affairs, he was on a first-name basis with many of the top brass in the Pentagon. He was also on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. He was one of the agency's unpeople who performed special assignments. So is unpeople like referring to like undercover, I guess? At one time, he had been a friend of Samuel Cummings, the arms broker that numbers among its customers the CIA, and ironically, Klein Sporting Goods of Chicago, from where the mail order was originally or allegedly purchased by Oswald. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because that's something that I was looking at separately, not even with you, and I was looking at that one.
I know
that
we
one
share a
story.
brain.
We do.
We share a
No,
brain.
but you know what's really
always
weird
happens
about
with us.
that? Yeah, the what's always like weird is that all of these things tend to be claimed as a suicide, but with him, he was right-handed. This guy Underhill, but he was
That's what
shot
we were
in the
talking
left
about.
ear.
Yep.
So it's like, maybe, I don't know, but if you're hit in the head, you're kind of out for the count. You don't really have time to replace your weapon. So
Right. And during that time period, right, they were not yet using identifying markers. They weren't testing DNA. Right.
Mhm.
Their
So
forensic analysis wasn't that.
their forensic analysis was just so behind. And this is like similar to what Biddy and I have researched during the Casey Anthony trial, right? So you can only find things after a certain amount of time because you have to deal with like decomposition, the position of the body, things like that. But think of all the substantial evidence that we have now that we did not have in forensics back during that time. That's often why a lot of people, innocent people, were put behind bars for murders that they didn't commit and then later acquitted once DNA became available, right, to prove that they didn't do it. So it's like more people should have questioned the fact that you said he was right-handed and this looked like it was a shot from the left and ballistics. But again, if this was a cover-up and you didn't have any tangible evidence, it would be pretty easy to
just come to a conclusion.
Do like a bait and switch. Like there's a lot of things that could have happened. Now, I think what's interesting about this is that he mentions the CIA, and the CIA is mentioned throughout this. So some people who are saying it's a nothing burger, I mean, Is it? Because a lot of people are saying that Oswald still acted as the lone wolf, but we also are getting evidence that there are multiple other countries that were involved.
Mm.
Or in the know, you know?
Right, in the know at least. Yeah.
Yep, and on top, and I'm going to actually pull off of what you just said when you're talking about other countries. This is what I was trying to pull up. This is from MJ Truth Ultra. He says, breaking update on the JFK files. Groundbreaking document shows Oswald's commander went on record to state that Oswald was in fact recruited by the CIA in Japan.
Yep.
This declassified CIA cable from 1996 provides compelling evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald was in fact a CIA asset, according to his commander at the time. The cable's very existence marked secret, and addressing a specific media inquiry about Oswald's CIA ties in Japan reveals an agency on high alert, carefully managing the narrative, and that threatens to expose a long-buried secret Oswald's recruiting for the CIA during his time in the Atsugi Naval Air Facility in the late 1950s. So it goes on and on and on, but the most important thing, people's language and tone suggests that the CIA was deeply concerned about the story gaining traction and about Japanese writers coming in and potentially blowing the story. You know, advising the press officer to avoid commenting and redirecting reporter. The agency was not merely followed to protocol, it was actively suppressing the truth and could unravel the official narrative of the JFK assassination. So,
yeah, it's really crazy too, because I mean, you think about MK Truth Ultra's name, right? Because where does that come from? MK Ultra. And exactly. That, you know, in the Freedom of Information Act, that is a thing. Even if people don't want to dig into that and believe it's true, it is a thing. They learn how to program minds into believing things. I mean, just like if you're watching a movie and they put somebody who once was a villain and they change the story around, just like in Maleficent or like those Disney movies and stuff like that. And all of a sudden now you feel bad for somebody who was like this terrible villain. They can program your brain into thinking a certain way. And that happened right after World War II because of all the people that, you know, Operation Paperclip and things like that happened, that they brought in that were really well versed in these kinds of things.
Right. And to have a closing comment, at least for myself, when I look at all of these years, so the 60 years that it took to release these documents, and they're saying, and every time and every step of the way when they tried to get them released, they were like, no, it's under God's national security. What national security?
I think the national security that they speak of is basically the way that they handle themselves behind the scenes. And the way that they do things, like we've learned with, you know, USAID and all this other kind of stuff. I'm not going to say you said anymore because Fluffy called me out on Monday, but I know it's you said.
I mean,
all the money that's gone that have allegedly been, you know, could have pushed like regime changes and different and sparked different conflicts in nations. Is it really that far off for what we're, you know, what's coming out with the JFK files and the ideas of, like, you know, wanting to perpetuate wars so you can bring in all this money, and if you have a commander in chief that's against that, he's kind of in the way of the money.
I mean, look, like saying that you know, are going to release files that are that end up being heavily redacted or not redacted for decades, to say that it's because of a national security issue. It's most likely just to protect special interest groups. That's really what it comes down to. I did put 2 other links if one of you guys are able to pull that up. I have one from Destiny and one from Free State Will that I thought were interesting before we move on.
All right, let me see if I can get this one up.
Okay. It's under
there we go.
All right. So with Destiny, I have it pulled in on my end. It's file 177-10002-10101, pages 2, 6 through 8. What I thought was interesting is that look at all of these countries that are involved. The USSR, right? Vietnam, Israel, Venezuela intelligence. It's all classified. And it just kind of gives you a little read through there. But it's essentially saying it was announced that the carrying of firearms by anyone outside the security forces was forbidden until elections were over. In South Vietnam, there is a full account from official U.S. sources of the Viet Cong attack on 2 mountain villages mentioned in Tuesday's checklist. So, we were involved in the Viet Cong attack. Our present information is that the attack and company strength was successfully repulsed. They suffered 30 casualties. The government losses were killed, 3 wounded, and 39 missing. Now we have more to that, but then you jump to Israel. We have some reason to believe that the Israelis are developing a surface-to-surface missile of their own. A reliable source, as an Israeli representative, is trying to buy U.S. stable platforms for the inertial guidance system of a missile within a range of 300 to 350 miles. And then the USSR and India, Moscow has promised the Indians to ship the equipment to one surface-to-air training site every month. Early next month, the Soviets had agreed to provide 8 surface-to-air sites. So there were planned 8 attacks for early next month. The rest will probably not be sent until the Indians have learned to handle the equipment about a year from now. This is a lot at the disposal of the president, and a lot that the general public was not aware of. So I think it's very interesting on a world scale. Some of the comments underneath are just saying, I heard they're still holding 30% of the files. I don't know if, AK, you heard anything in regards to that. But what we've seen so far is that, there was a lot going on, and we could have potentially had a full blown out conflict.
Yeah, and on top of that, what this really looks like is they were really trying to get that war in Vietnam going.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were.
They were doing everything in their power to get that war going. Kind of very similar to something that's going on right now, don't you think?
Mhm.
So when you, I guess you're right when it comes to trying to protect our own special interests, but now that we know, why? Like, what is the point of doing this? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? What is your end goal by doing this?
I wanna just hope that their whole idea. But I know that I don't feel this way. But I want to hope that the whole idea is that, how the government treats us, right? Like you guys are children. You can't fend for yourselves. You can't operate on your own. You need to be governed. We need to tell you how to move.
We're here to help.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they have that same mindset when it comes to the entire world. Like, we can't just let you guys, elect your presidents and have your leaders and have these factions going on over here and have all this other stuff going over there, because it might lead into our country, or it might mess up something, globally that it's going to affect us. So we're going to have our hands in every single thing. And we're going to go as far as to perpetuate certain situations, so that way the wrong people don't get into power, and that way the ones that do get into power we can control. And that's if I was gonna say it in a way where it was like, okay, we were doing it for some type of good, that's the only thing I can come up with. But I'm like, this looks bad.
Yeah, and then one more thing is that from Free State Will, I'm just going to skim it briefly. We don't need to put it up there, but it's essentially documentation that the CIA was operating U.S. Postal Service mail that was being sent to the USSR, and had 300 CIA staff indexing 250,000 names. So
Doxing them?
what was that?
Did you say doxing them?
No, that they were indexing 250,000
Oh,
names.
okay.
So yeah, so essentially what I gathered from this is that 200 or 300 CIA employees are exclusively engaging with the USSR, which is
Wow.
insane.
Well,
Which is
And imagine if any one of us were engaging with the USSR, or I mean, not even USSR doesn't exist, but like with Russia right now.
Yeah, like President Trump can't even have a conversation to try and
Mhm.
promote a ceasefire. Like you
Right.
have to talk to both parties. You can't
Mhm.
just say, "Well, we'll hope that he's going to be chill over there, so you could be chill over here." You know, just trust that it'll be fine.
Yeah, and what one last thing, it says that it is believed that we can and should furnish the CIA with the name and Moscow address furnished us by the British, telling CIA that we want to be advised if any communication is going to that address.
Right.
So that seems fishy.
This is going to be something that probably we're going to be talking about for quite some time because again, there's tens of thousands of documents.
I mean, people are talking about
insane.
Israeli. Right. I mean, people are talking about Israeli intelligence, but I mean, we need to look at the USSR Indian alliance as well during
Mhm.
that time period.
Absolutely, absolutely, and again, like I said, I can see why there would be a good reason to protect our own special interest, but as far as everything else that was going on and how they throw a bunch of things under the guise of national security, and especially with the Patriot Act kind of codifying that,
Mhm.
like how do we fix this problem?
Hmm.
Because this is a problem. This is definitely a problem, and there should not be like basically an unelected group of people going around and just literally doing whatever they want and getting away with it because you can't even prosecute these people.
Yeah, these are individuals just like everybody else. You know what I mean? They take an
Mhm.
oath, but we've seen people take oaths and just do whatever the heck they decide to do. So it's like, you know, we have to restore our checks and balances, and it's gonna be a process. It's gonna take a while. There's gonna be a lot of things that come out that are gonna get everybody really pissed, and not just us, people all over the globe. You know, that's
Mhm.
another thing that happens with these releases. You know,
So far, my ending statement is that I still simp for Tulsi because she came through. We did get about 80,000 pages that were released, according to over 6 million pages, or adding to the already existing 6 million pages already declassified. But we're all able to read it. So, you know, will the CIA Mossad links be revealed? Were we going to find out more information? Was Oswald acting alone? Definitely requires a lot more deep dive. But if you want to move along to the next story, we can talk about what I learned only a couple hours ago in regards to the CIA headquarters being locked down.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
All right, so coming to you from the U.S. Sun, high alert CIA headquarters swarmed by cops over man with a gun as SWAT is called in just hours after JFK files are released. Coincidence? I don't know.
I think not.
I
I don't
think
know.
not.
I don't know.
One person has reportedly been taken into custody after police and SWAT teams shut down roads leading to the CIA campus to investigate the threat. Apparently, the guy, you know, he shot in the air, and then he also pointed the gun at the building. They swarmed him in CIA headquarters. This is located in Virginia, and he was at the entry gate. There was armored trucks that were blocking the roads leading to the facilities as SWAT teams and police investigate the threat. And it was unfolding roughly 10 miles outside of Washington, D.C. They called the emergency in McLean, Virginia, a barricade situation after they rushed to the scene before 11 a.m. An hours-long standoff ensued, and initial reports indicated a suspect fired a gun in the air. However, law enforcement later said no shots had been fired, but they confirmed the suspect pointed a gun at the facility. Quote, there is an ongoing incident that law enforcement is currently responding to outside CIA headquarters. So it happened, it was contained, and it basically was over. I mean, there's really not much that came out about that afterwards, as far as I can tell. But it is kind of odd. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to associate it. Yeah, you don't have to associate it with the JFK file release it, but it is odd. You know what I mean? It could be maybe somebody that read through the pages, and you know, maybe they are one of those people that can freaking read and like really fast and retain information very easily, and they were reading it all night long, and they got up and they were like, you know, pissed at the CIA because of what was
No,
in
he
there.
definitely didn't go to sleep.
You know what I mean? Like, he was on those caffeine pills like all night long. Yeah, or you know, it like a false flag kind of a thing to kind of take the attention off of the files themselves. You know, it could be, you can speculate a number of different things, but
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're gonna go after the CIA, you're gonna need a lot more people than that.
right.
You know, because go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting though is that I'm looking at the article right now, and it looks like the two other incidents where this did occur, because this isn't like the first time the CIA headquarters had been targeted. They were both like lone wolves. Like in 2021, a man was shot by an FBI agent and rushed to the hospital after he brought a gun to the complex, the New York Times reported. And then in 1993, a Pakistani man killed 2 CIA employees and wounded 3 others stationed outside the agency's headquarters. So, I mean, yeah, like the timing, it says the attack came like literally just hours after the declassified documents, but I mean, yeah, like it's basically, the article is basically like there's so many theories. It's kind of like too hard to tell. It's hard for me to imagine that there'll be one piece of evidence.
Wow, do you see those pants?
Yeah,
literally teleported from 1980s heavy metal.
That looks like Sideshow Bob.
Right. He's like, I am the lead singer of Poison.
I'm sorry, does that not give Sideshow Bob vibes?
I'm sorry, I have no idea who that is.
I don't know who that is either. I know Brian does because he was laughing in my ear. But
yeah,
Brian gets a reference, and he laughed and said he does. So, you know.
Yeah, at least you got one of us. Yeah, now the chat's gonna kill me for it.
Wait, but Brian, you should pull up a picture.
Welcome to my world.
Pull up a picture of Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, but I really wonder, like, are we gonna get any information on this person?
No.
Like, are we gonna get?
I don't have a ton of information about the assassination attempts on President.
No, okay, like. And we never got information in detail about the Route 91 shooter, or just not.
I mean, this is
going to be another government secret.
Not very transparent.
That's funny. All right, so what else we got on the docket here?
Oh.
Let's see.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob. Okay, but you said from The Simpsons. Is that he's from The Simpsons, or he's separate? Because he looks like a Simpson character.
It's from The Simpsons. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, you can't mistake The Simpsons drawings and stuff like that. I know who that is, but yeah, I never remember names, so just deal with me. I'm always gonna not get references. All right, what do we got next?
Okay.
Is it The Guardian?
Yep. So Trump administration pauses $175 million in funds to UPenn over trans athlete policy. The White House official reportedly calls funding freeze just a waste or just a taste, I'm sorry, of what could be coming for Ivy League universities. So, guys, we discussed this earlier during our meeting, and we were like, we didn't realize that universities were even receiving that much money in the first place. So the Trump administration has paused $175 million in federal funding to the University of Pennsylvania over its inclusion of transgender athletes in women college sports, citing an unnamed senior administration official. Fox Business said that the pause was, can you go up? There we go. Said that the pause was not a direct result of Title IX, and that the investigation came a day after Trump signed an executive order entitled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. And in the footage reposted by an official White House account, Fox said that the official called the funding pause just a taste of what could be coming down the pipe for Penn, a proactive punishment from the president to pull back discretionary spending going to the school from the U.S. Defense and Health Departments. It added that the university was still at risk of losing all of its federal funding as a result of the ongoing Title IX investigation. Now, this, like many other things, might be blocked by a federal judge. What I was more interested in is really how much money has been going to universities.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting.
Especially when you think of like all the people just paying out of pocket for like a lot of money for tuition.
Yeah,
I don't understand why
that's
they
insane
need so
amount of
much.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I found this article earlier, and Penn received over $1 billion in federal funding in 2024. So in addition to the high cost of tuition and everything else that taxpayers are paying for, they're receiving over $1 billion in federal aid. Can you scroll down a bit, please? Beautiful building. Basically, they received over 100 or under $1 billion in federal funding during fiscal year 2024, according to an analysis by the Daily Pennsylvanian, as nationwide anxiety. I swear, this is why I should eat, not just rely on coffee. Surrounding higher education mounts and sources of federal funding remain unclear. The DP used the United States Department of Treasury data to measure funding distributed to Penn and the trustees of the University of Pennsylvania. The analysis found that the university receives federal funding through a variety of agreements, agencies, and partners, aka us, just funding from us. They rank among the highest in the Ivy League and the nation. Now, I think this pie chart is like very interesting because you have 4 channels. You have assistance awards, you have grants, you have government funds, but 86% are from assistant awards. It looks like a small percentage is for contract awards. Assistant sub awards is 11% and subcontract. So like these are just all different grants, right? They're different grants that are approved by the federal government. And it is, well, actually, it looks like the assist awards provide government funds without direct federal involvement. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
If we're giving that much from the federal government and then all of these assistant programs are funded through the state?
Yeah, and then I looked up earlier the former president of UPenn, Amy Gutmann. She earned nearly $23 million.
I know, that's
salary
insane.
in 2021, which included a base salary of $1.56 million, $1 million bonus, and a significant deferred compensation package.
To do what?
Exactly, to be the
Well, and
president of the
where's the
university.
money coming from, though?
To be an overglorified principal?
Yeah,
Like,
right, exactly. That's basically what you are.
That's only accounting for essentially $2 million out of $23 million. So where does the rest of the money coming from?
Or going. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with this. I mean, the
Allegedly from
majority of the
government
country
funding.
voted for Trump and what he said that he wanted to do. He wanted to protect women and women's sports. And these people, I don't know what their problem is with that. Like I've said it a million times, if you're trans and you want to be an athlete, let's have a trans league. You can build up your popularity. You can gain, you can work like all the, the like women had to do for so long to show that we're worth watching as athletes, and we can be effective in that regard. And you can't just come and hijack with your male hormones and your power and all this other stuff and come and take it from all of these hardworking women who've been working since they were children
Well,
to
I
get
think
to that point.
what's interesting is that, I mean, there are blood tests that exist, right? That you can test the level of estrogen or testosterone. I always have trouble saying that word for some reason. And yeah, and but there's are tests, and I understand, I do, and I understand like a trans league, but it just has seemed odd to me that in the past, when this has been allowed, that there weren't these tests. Like, you have to be under a specific body mass, you have to be under a certain number for these hormones that are in your body. You have to be under a certain weight. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were.
Well, I know the Olympics tests for this kind of stuff, or at least I think
Okay.
they do.
Yeah, and even like for fighters and stuff like that, you have
Mhm.
to be a certain weight class. You can't have any kind of like, special hormone advancement, anything going on in your body if you're an athlete, just like human growth hormones and stuff like that,
HGH,
HGH.
steroids.
There's been these kinds of tests for those reasons because you can't give yourself an edge. It has to be an even playing field. So if
But
you're,
yeah, but it's still not. It's still not even with all of that. So it's
what do you mean it's still not like what?
like, even with all of these tests, there's obviously other clear advantages when men
Oh
are
yeah, I mean
competing in women's sport.
you can be stronger, absolutely. But just like Riley Gaines said, and she said this many times, like when you're a male and you're a swimmer, you can take in a lot more air into your
Mhm.
lungs when you're
Okay.
swimming. You don't have to come
Yeah.
up for air. So think about how many seconds come off of your time as you're coming up for air more often.
Not just
Those
that,
Yeah.
but also
factors.
better reaction time, thicker tendons,
Mhm.
to be able to withstand a lot more strength. But on top of that, when you look at all the women that been injured
Mhm.
Yeah.
by trans women, like that alone is alarming. I mean, if you take the amount, I mean, there's not that many. Let's just be real. There's not that many that are actually in these sports, but the ones that there are, the amount of injuries is off the charts.
Mhm.
When they're playing different types of sports like basketball or like soccer or whatnot, because it's one thing if you and Biddy run into each other at full speed, but if I run into you at full speed, you're not getting up off the ground.
Yeah, and it goes both ways too. If you really think about it, it goes both ways because if you're somebody who's trans and you're on medications that are messing with your hormones and kind of like, it kind of weakens certain parts of your body as well, changes like certain things. So you don't want to also have to maybe go up against full-blown male who hasn't been taking these kind of medications. So
I don't think it matters
Yeah.
though. It
like
doesn't matter because you still went through the growth process.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
like if it's
true.
after the fact and not pre-puberty. Yeah.
Well, has
Right.
there been do we know if there's been like a representative from UPenn who's like spoken about this? I don't think
let's
so,
find out.
right?
Let's see. You guys.
Yeah. I just think
Yeah, there's
think
going
it's
to be a
really
federal judge that will block this. I'm pretty positive.
I think that everything that Trump's doing, like he knows that it's gonna end up in courts. And I think some of it maybe he thinks that he's gonna lose, but some of it he wants to go through the courts. So it becomes like a thing. Like, okay, this was ruled in the court, and they ruled it this way. Like, it's gone back and forth between the courts, and this was the ending thing. It wasn't just me who did my executive order. It actually went through the judicial system.
This is from Penn Today. A message about proactive financial measures in response to the federal funding environment. We are writing to update you on a near-term operation of financial planning in light of potential federal funding cuts and legislation. We recognize the strain on these policies put in our communities and our uncertainties surrounding the timing and impact. In moments like these, we're guided by our core principles, protecting our mission, sustaining our culture.
It says March 10th, though.
Just a typical, white collar answer.
Yeah. I mean, it said it was from March 10th, though. But I mean, I'm assuming they knew.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they knew by then.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is something he was kind of like, he put the executive order out. So, like,
Yeah.
a bunch of these places probably already had their ducks in a row before it really hit them.
Yeah. We will see.
I don't know.
Alrighty.
It's just too much with all the confusion and complication. It's crazy. It should just be.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I did want to talk about is, like, you brought up, like, Riley Gaines earlier, and, like, talking about the Leah Thomas case. It's the same university. So, I mean, they have faced massive scrutiny over this since 2022. And Leah Thomas was, like, when she was a man, was, like, ranked 500 or something. And Leah Thomas ranked higher than Riley Gaines and won. And
there was actually what happened. They tied, and the person at the top said, "Well, we're just going to give it to Leah Thomas because it's a tie, and we can't have two winners," because it was like a whole big thing going on at the time.
Yeah,
well, didn't Riley say that it was that they were basically like, well,
we just
can't give it to you. Sorry.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, whether that's true or not, I mean, none of us were there for that conversation, so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. But that's what she said. And, I mean, either way, like, why would you want to be put into a position like that? And again, going back to injuries, and remember there was the 16-year-old girl that was spiked in the face in a volleyball game and had devastating injuries to where she could never play sports again. It's like, so what do you do in that situation if you're their parents?
A UFC fight where you're actually getting beaten up by a man.
Well, and it looks like the university response says that they, like, haven't received any official notification of the funding pause, but they did emphasize its compliance with NCAA and Ivy League policies on transgender athlete participation. So does that mean that the NCAA is accepting trans
I don't think so. I thought they changed their rules about a month ago. I think they changed the rules to be in line with Title IX. I thought they did.
Well, so if that's really the case, then UPenn isn't doing what Trump is claiming. So it may just be a huge miscommunication or some type of threat to make sure that they stay compliant. Either way, $175 million is just astonishing to me.
It was February 6, 2025, the NCAA under new rules.
Yeah.
Supporting women in college sports leadership. They came up with it. NCAA provides blah, 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 blah. Women in coaching. Oh, here it is. Passed as part of the Educational Amendments in 1972, 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title IX, landmark, supports opportunities, education. Does it say? Oh, advancing gender equity. The committing to equitable and positive championship experience for all college athletes in completion of 2021 gender equity reviews. Position identified steps to how issues outlined in the report may be addressed. And let's see.
They have to be assigned female at birth.
I think that's what it was.
Well, then there shouldn't be an issue. I don't know.
I think they're just trying. I think all these people are just trying, just like, with like the elections and counting after, counting mail-in ballots after a certain time. Like, these states are and these entities are just trying it out. Just, making it go to the courts so that way they can get it argued and try their shot at it. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's see what else we got because I know we're running up against it here.
I'm sorry, you have two yappers. Biddy and I are just, we're like the biggest yappers.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like this is from the Hill. Zelensky backs Trump proposal for limited ceasefire with Russia, and I guess Brian's got a video up, so let's roll the clip.
Did you?
Let's roll it.
Putin didn't agree to the 30-day ceasefire that Trump had proposed. Instead, he wants a much more limited proposal that specifically deals with energy infrastructure. Meanwhile, fighting continues, both sides reportedly targeting each other's infrastructure. Do you think there's been any progress on what Trump and the administration says it wants, which is a permanent end to the war that maintains the sovereignty of Ukraine?
Not really, because one of Putin's talking points here is that there should be a cessation of international support for Ukraine as part of an ultimate end to the war. And the Ukrainians believe that if that were to happen, they would be a sitting duck without the protection to repel any further Russian incursions. In addition to that, obviously, Russia holds about 1/5 of the whole territory of Ukraine right now. Are they going to withdraw from that territory? That seems unlikely in the current circumstances. So that in itself would reduce Ukrainian sovereignty.
That ask ending foreign support for Ukraine and intelligence sharing seems like a non-starter, not only for Ukraine, but also for Europe, and I would think the vast majority of members of Congress in the U.S.
Well, you would think, though, of course, Republican members of Congress have become much more aligned with President Trump's view, whether you term that America first or isolationist or whatever. It is plainly a break with the widely held view in Europe that there is a multinational interest in rebuffing Putin's invasion of Ukraine. That is what we're seeing right now. The Europeans trying to figure out if there's some way that they can shore up Ukraine when it seems very likely that President Trump of the United States will not.
The answer is no.
Right, exactly.
The answer is no.
Like any way you want to ask it, it's no.
How about no?
Right.
No,
exactly.
they can't. They don't have the resources because the whole reason why Europe is as protected as it is because we have like a base in every country.
Yeah.
So
And
we
we're
can be
funding,
anywhere we need to be.
75% or 80% of everything.
Exactly. So so that kind of puts NATO and Europe, the European Union, between a rock and a hard place, especially now since this generation of Americans, they're just like, we're fed up. It's done. We don't want to be a part of these anymore because we've seen all the corruption. I mean, look at the first, section that we talked about, with the CIA and all this other stuff going on. It's clear that our money is being pushed for nefarious means in a lot of different areas. And our own government has not been transparent about that. And it's taken us this long to finally figure out what's going on. So now that we have the truth, it's like, okay, we're out. We just don't want it. But the one thing that I don't understand is, us as the constituents to our representatives, when we say we don't want something and they go ahead and do it anyway, it's almost like we're not even being represented anymore. But that's what Washington has become.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been allowed to just run ruckshot over all of us for so long. And saying things like national security and whatnot. And, we believe them. And then you watch movies and it's like, oh, this covert ops and the CIA are, they're doing their thing and we got to let them do their thing. And they know what they're doing. And, this other kind of stuff. We've been conditioned for decades that, this, you kind of let them do what they do because they know what they're doing. They have intelligence agents and, in all these different areas and they're, they know the whole picture and we don't. So we got to trust in them that they're doing the right thing. But now when we hear all this stuff, we're like, well, are you guys doing the right thing? Or do you have like some rogue people in there that are doing some crazy stuff? Are you really, holding these people accountable? Like what's actually going on? Because it's creating more chaos and it's not doing any good. And I think we really, really need to get out of NATO. And I think that will send a clear message to the world that we're not part of this gang anymore. Like, sorry, if you have beef with a country, you deal with it. Period.
Right. And like, I think that, I'm just kind of browsing what's trending on X in regards to what's going on. And from Next TV, it says Trump believes that if the U.S. owns Ukraine's energy facilities, it will be the best meaning of protecting the infrastructure. And this came directly from the White House. And Zelensky is asking for new systems, including Patriot systems, and Trump said he would see what's available. So it sounds like it overall was a very productive phone call. I think that, and I've said this from the beginning, like when you think about how much territory and the size of the military that Russia has in regards to Zelensky has heavily been, relying on the allies, on us, and of the UK and the EU to support him during this. And, we're not going to money launder to him anymore. Because to me, this has always been a battle that was a proxy war.
It needed
Like
to have it. Yeah.
it was like meant to fail regardless, because when you look at territory size alone, with Russia having 1/5 already, it seems implausible. This has been going on since 2014. Like people are tired, and so it looks like if you saw Trump's Truth Social post, he just sums it up that like he spoke with Putin and Zelensky. They want to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. And so who knows what's going to happen if Russia ends up getting more territory? I don't know. I know one of their main requests was that Ukraine was never going to join NATO. And so the fact that he's not a part of NATO, and this has all just been like spoken rule that we're like helping him this much, is a little foolish. But we'll have to see. This is the closest we've been to a peace agreement this entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think? I know Brian, our producer, asked earlier. Do you think that if Trump aids in helping to stop the Ukraine-Russia war, will he get the Nobel Peace Prize? Will they actually award it to him?
That we only award
you
those
couldn't
war
argue.
criminals.
Yeah.
You couldn't argue it. Like that's exactly what that prize technically is for, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, at least. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be great to hear. I just, I think a lot of these situations are going to continue to go on. They may stop and then they'll continue on in future, but that's why we need to kind of get out of this now and just kind of give the idea that we're not going to be aiding these things anymore. Like there's no reason for us. And they always make it seem like, well, you don't want Russia to get huge. You don't want the Soviet Union to come back again and, and hopefully, and, potentially take over the world. So these big countries like us have to come in and save everybody all the time, and it's like, how about we just cross that road if we get to it? Because we can.
Aren't we already doing that though?
Yeah, we are.
That's
we already are.
Yeah,
exactly. So the difference is that the reasons for it now have shifted, at least in Americans' eyes. So let them. That's their problem.
I know.
That's not our problem.
Right.
So putting up a Ukraine flag up on your profile picture does nothing. Why don't you go to the front line?
Yeah, no, they definitely won't.
Out. Well, of course they're not.
Yeah, especially when they put the Ukraine flag with a whole bunch of other flags that don't make sense when you go over there. But
the least productive members of society are the social justice warriors, because they're just chronically online. They're like the same people that like did the blackout squares on Instagram. Like, does nothing. Does nothing. Changes nothing. Changes no policies.
This is what it says on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, they run right there. Damn, I wish I kept my Encyclopedia Britannica books. They got to be somewhere. They got to go back to the roots.
Exactly.
Internet.
All right, so why don't we change it up a bit?
Okay.
All right, so this is from National Geographic.
Are we doing that? Or are we skipping to what our fans want with the cap this?
Screw it. Let's go. Caption this. You guys know the deal. Okay, well, just a quick overview is basically they found a mysterious void in Egypt's Great Pyramids down below. But I mean, we all know about the pyramids, so let's move on. All right, so this is Caption This. So anybody that has played, you know the game. If you haven't, listen up. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create, or we have already created, or at least one of our followers in our Discord. We have a chat that's called the AI image dump, and people like to throw in AI images, the craziest, the wackiest, whatever you could find, right? Then what we do is we select one of those each and every day to bring up on the show, like this one. All right. And it's your job in the audience to go into our chat and give us the best caption possible. All right. The winner will go on to a championship round at some point this month. We were supposed to do it last month, but we just ran out of time. Goes to a championship round, and then the winner of the championship round gets their caption on a shirt from the Rumination.
Woo!
So, caption.
I won a couple days ago. Something that I just wanted to mention, we have multiple streams going. So even if you are, whether you're following myself or Biddy, AK tonight, if it looks like you're the only one in there and you're talking to yourself, you're not. All the comments go to us regardless of what chat you're in. Some might just be more active than others. So please get in the chat if you can. Comment, your best caption, and we can go ahead and put it on stage and then vote for it. It's a pretty fun process.
Let me see. Oh, man.
All right. First one. Oh.
Trash can.
I think I brought it up, and then it was hidden, and then you brought it up.
Oh, my goodness. Let me see. Okay, while they're going on, what does it say? The 4 trash pandas of the dumpster apocalypse.
It reminds me of like the three raccoons in a trench coat type vibe, but it's 4.
I'm going to see what they got going on here on Rumble.
So are the Rumble comments? Are we just saying YouTube and X on our end?
I'll pull them up if I see anything over here.
Okay, gotcha. Game of trash cans.
What else we got here? What does the raccoon on the left have 3 ears? Yeah, that is kind of weird. It's almost like they tried to make another one in the background, and wherever they developed this image from, just kind of got confused. But that's the best part about it, though. I love it because look at the one over here. That one's missing 1 ear. So
I don't have much. I'm tired. Same mood.
All right, let me think of one here. Let's go with
I'll probably come up with something. Let's see.
Well, while everybody else is doing that, if you haven't yet, please go to riseofmiddleamerica.com, and that's where you can find out where all of our socials are, all of our sites that we stream. We also have a merch room down at the bottom of the page. That's where you can find all of our Roman Nation hats. I should have mine tomorrow, I think. That plus the shirts, and all of our previous Caption This winners from way back when got their images and their captions on a shirt. They are absolutely hilarious. You guys should check that out. And also, if you're here on Rumble, you can join us up for $5 a month. help us keep the lights on, and also try to make us the best podcast network on Rumble. We are getting there. We've just been exponentially gaining and gaining and gaining steam. So thank you guys for joining us tonight, and let's get back to Caption This. What else we got? Mrs. Rubbish was killed in the study of a bar of chocolate.
You guys are coming up with good ones. I'm not even gonna bother. I put like a little one in there, but that's about it.
4 raccoons in the game of Jumanji. Oh man. Nice. All right, we're gonna do about 30 more seconds and then jump right in. Let's see, what do we got over here? Ooh, it looks like we do have one from Rumble. Give me just a second. I'm gonna pop that up. Boom, 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 and boom. What happened? Where'd it go? There it is. All right. So this is from Lethal. He says, not a good one, but Democrats planning their next heist to steal your your library. Your library? Oh, steal your
Liberty.
Oh, Liberty.
And then Navasa says the squad meeting up with how to replace Corey Bush.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys jump in. I'm going to wait just a little bit to see which one I want to pick. Biddy, what do you got?
Let me see. Black metal band.
The black metal band. I mean, Valley, if you're ready, you can go ahead and jump in.
I don't think Impure did a bunch tonight, but I don't know if we put this one up there. Hold on. I kind of liked this one. Rise of Middle Racoonia.
Racoonia.
Yeah. I think that one's clever.
It's gonna sound like we're totally like all going for Impure, but I really like the trash can map. I think that's just super cute, simple, because they're all like, you know, trying to put it together, you know, where they're gonna go eat. I think that's adorable.
I think I'm going to go with Navasa's. That one was Miss Rubbish was killed in a study by a bar of chocolate.
Oh yeah, that one was good too. I don't know. All right, so you want to go with those two and see if we can get.
So which one is this? So number one is which one?
Actually, we have 3. What was the one that you said, Valley?
I liked.
I forgot now.
No, I got it. So third was
I like
Racoonia.
Rise of Middle Racoonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Biddy, and yours was
Trash can map.
all right. And I think mine was where was it?
This one right here.
Oh, Miss Rubbish. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw this in the chat. Boom. I don't know if they can see it. But go ahead and put a 1 in the chat for Raconia, 2 in the chat for a trash can map, and 3 in the chat for Mrs. Rubbish. We'll give you guys about a minute.
I'm just gonna say 1.
You're going 1. I'm
Going 1.
Let's see.
Everyone's saying 3 wins for sure.
Yeah, we've got 1, 2, we got 3 for 3. Let's go.
Oh, another one for Raconia. Now, Raconia sounds like it could be a place like Romania.
Yeah.
Oh, like the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the Lion, the Rich, and the Trash Can. All right. So it looks like number 3 wins. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for this opportunity. Just kidding. No, that was Navasa. Navasa
Yeah, I was
wins.
going to say, what?
Yes, Miss Rubbish was killed in a study by a bar of chocolate. I like it. I like it a
This
lot.
is rubbish.
Very
Was
good.
killed in the study by a
Exactly.
bar of chocolates.
All right. So
Chocolate
what?
British.
All
They
right. Well,
never-
that was caption this. Final thoughts before we head out into the sunset.
Just so much. We are just getting like so much information. Something's going on every day. Unfortunately, both good and bad with what happened with the CIA. But I am just, looking forward to this administration getting things done. Hopefully, we do get more transparency. Hopefully, we do get the unredacted Epstein files. Maybe Tulsi needs to get her feet wet in that department. But overall, it's been a pretty eventful hump day.
Yes, it has, Biddy.
Yeah. I agree. I hope we just keep getting more coming out. We just have to be patient.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be.
No, right. I want them all now.
Mhm.
Now.
Everything. All right.
Now.
So you know me. I always got the final thoughts. I go one by one. So here we go. So number 1, we're on day 2 of day 1 of the JFK file release party. Looks like someone was trying to CIA the CIA. UPenn's federal funding looks to be deported. Zelensky was sent to his room until he agreed to a ceasefire deal. And scientists find the Egyptian Area 51 under the pyramids. Boom.
Woo!
All right.
Very well done.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me at the real Roma _AK on X. That one is the Cali Melody. That's Valley Girl. Elizabeth213A. Please scan the QR code or go to riseofmiddleamerica.com, click on the Rumble link, and subscribe to Sunset Rants. Or on Rumble, it would be Roma Nation, all one word. And then join us for just $5 a month to help us become the largest podcast network on the internet. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Peace in the world. Bye.
So I got to thinking, there's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. MAGA, Make America Great Again. But what we really need to do is make America follow the Constitution again. Motherfucker. That sounded better in my head.